USS Triton, a Tambor-class submarine, was the first submarine and third ship of the United States Navy to be named for Triton, a mythological Greek god, the messenger of the sea. Her keel was down on the 5th of July 1939 by the Portsmouth Navy Yard. She was launched on the 25th of March 1940, sponsored by Mrs. Ernest J. King, wife of Rear Admiral King, and commissioned on the 15th of August 1940 with Lieutenant Commander Willis A. Pilley Lent in command. The new submarine held her shakedown training in the Caribbean Sea from the 14th of January 1941 to the 26th of March, and then conducted training and min-laying exercises in the Portsmouth, New Hampshire, New London, Connecticut area. Triton departed Portsmouth on the 1st of July, transited the Panama Canal on the 12th of July, and arrived at San Diego, California on the 20th of July. 9 days later, she and sister ship USS Triton headed for Hawaii and arrived at Pearl Harbor on the 4th of August. First Patrol, assigned to Submarine Division 62, Triton made a training cruise to Midway from the 30th of August to the 15th of September, then participated in local and fleet operations in the Hawaiian area. On the 19th of November, the submarine headed west to conduct a practice war patrol and arrived off Wake Island on the 26th of November. On the 8th of December, she saw columns of smoke rising over the island, but assumed it was caused by construction work being done ashore. At night, when she surfaced to charge her batteries, she was informed by radio Wake and Pearl Harbor had been bombed and was ordered to stay out of range of Wake's guns. The next morning, Triton observed the Japanese bombing the island. On the night of the 10th of December, she was surfaced, charging her batteries, when flashes of light from Wake revealed a destroyer, a light cruiser on a parallel course. The submarine was silhouetted against the moon, and the enemy ship turned towards her. Triton went deep and began evasive action. When the Japanese ship slowed astern, the submarine came to 120 feet and fired 4 stern torpedoes, the first American torpedoes shot during World War II on sonar bearings. She heard a dull explosion 58 seconds later and believed one had hit the target, then went to 175 feet and cleared the area. After their initial repulse on the 11th of December, the Japanese returned with 2 aircraft carriers, Hiryu and Soryu. Triton was not informed, and made no attacks on them. Neither did she make any effort to evacuate the 350 Marines. On the 21st of December, the submarine was ordered to return to Hawaii, and she arrived back at Pearl Harbor on the 31st of December. Second Patrol. On the 25th of January 1942, Triton got underway for the East China Sea and her second war patrol, covering the sea lanes to Daren, Shanghai, and Korea. She was off Kyushu on the 17th of February when she contacted a freighter. The submarine launched 4 torpedoes and scored 1 hit in the stern. The target stopped for a few minutes and then slowly got underway. That evening, Triton attacked another freighter with 2 torpedoes at a range of 1,200 yards. 1 hit the Japanese cargo ship aft of her well deck, and the Maru went dead in the water and began settling. Soon, several heavy explosions marked the end of Shinya Maru No. 5. 4 days later, the submarine intercepted 2 cargo ships. She sank Shokyu Maru with 2 torpedoes but could not attack the second ship because of its speed and the appearance of a 4-engine patrol plane. On the night of the 27th of February, the submarine was on the surface for a battery charge when she sighted a ship approximately 3 miles away. She closed to attack and launched 2 torpedoes. 1 torpedo torpedo hit, but haze over the water and smoke from the damaged ship prohibited a second attack. Triton made no further contacts and returned to Pearl Harbor on the 17th of March, where she was praised for an aggressive patrol, earning credit for 2 ships totaling 12,000 tons, but criticized for excessive use of torpedoes, which were in extremely short supply. Third patrol. Triton got underway on the 13th of April to return to the East China Sea. 10 days later, the submarine contacted a 2,000-ton trawler near Marcus, astonishingly stopped and not blacked out. After missing with 2 torpedoes, she surfaced to engage with her deck guns, firing 19 rounds of 3-inch and a hurricane of small arms, leaving the trawler a sinking wreck, giving Triton the first confirmed sinking of an enemy vessel by deck gun fire by an American submarine. Amid shallow, glassy seas and poor sonar conditions, on the 1st of May, she sighted 6 freighters, in 2 columns, escorted by a single torpedo boat. She launched 2 torpedoes, and both hit the leading ship, Tai Maru, which sank, then 2 more at the next freighter. Both missed. She fired at a third cargoman, but the torpedo ran deep. A second torpedo, set shallow and aimed at a different ship, broke the back of Calcutta Maru, which promptly sank. Triton contacted an escorted convoy on the 6th of May and launched 2 torpedoes at the trailing ship. One sank soon after leaving the tube. The other missed ahead. She next spotted a destroyer coming to the rear of the convoy, fired 2 more at this same ship from 1,200 yards, and went deep to elude. Her sonar heard 2 violent explosions. Tiger Maru had sunk. At that point, the submarine maneuvered around and ahead of the convoy to position for another attack. When she attained the desired position, she launched 4 torpedoes, 2 at the third ship and 2 at a fourth. Triton heard 2 explosions from the first spread, none from the second, as she was forced to take evasive action from the escort. The submarine later returned to periscope depth, but no ships were in sight. The convoy had cleared the area. On the 15th of May, she sank 2 deep-sea fishing boats with her deck guns. The next day, after monitoring orders to other boats attempting to intercept without success, Triton ran into position and at 15.20 spotted the crippled Shokaku and a destroyer, returning from the Battle of Coral Sea, at 6,700 yards, with the target making 16 knots. Triton could not close the range, despite surfacing and bending on 19.5 knots. She sent a contact report, but it was not acknowledged. 1 day later, the 17th of May, in one of the luckiest finds of the war, I-64 surfaced right in front of Triton. She fired her last boat torpedo from 6,200 yards and parts of the target were blown 100 feet into the air. I-64, the 4th Japanese sub sunk by the Pacific Fleet sub-force, went down by the stern. 4 days later, Triton fired her last 4 torpedoes at another enemy submarine. All missed. The patrol earned her credit for 5 ships of 24,200 tons, terminating at Pearl Harbor on the 4th of June, as the Battle of Midway began. 4th Patrol. Triton's 4th War Patrol took her to Alaskan waters and lasted from the 25th of June to the 24th of August. On the 4th of July, she was patrolling in a heavy fog, in the vicinity of Cape Sabic when the fog lifted enough to reveal a Japanese destroyer. The submarine trailed the enemy for 10 hours, in and out of patches of fog, until she had closed the range to 3,000 yards. Triton then launched 2 torpedoes, and 1 hit amidships. The Japanese destroyer Nenoi Right capsized a port and slid under the waves in 5 minutes. Triton sighted a freighter on the 28th of July, but lost it in a fog bank. The same thing happened the next day. On the 9th of August, Triton saw an enemy submarine's periscope and prepared to attack. However, the Japanese substruck first, forcing Triton to go deep as enemy torpedoes passed overhead. On the 15th of August, Triton launched 4 torpedoes at a darkened ship from a range of 1,500 yards. There were 2 consecutive explosions, and flames shot over 200 feet into the air. To Triton, the enemy ship appeared to be larger than a destroyer. However, there is no official record of a sinking on the date. The submarine made no further contacts before returning to Pearl Harbor on the 7th of September and was credited with 2 ships for 3,100 tons. She then entered Pearl Harbor Navy Yard for an overhaul until the 6th of December. 5th Patrol. On the 16th of December, Triton got underway for a position 20 miles east of Wake on the Midway-Wake route. She was one of 3 submarines stationed between the 2 islands to mark the way for United States Army Air Force's B-24 Liberator bombers in strikes on Wake and to rescue the crews of any planes forced down at sea. She made no rescues, but, on the night of the 23rd of December, she aided in guiding the Liberators in a night bombing attack on the island. On the 24th of December, the submarine sighted the mast of a ship on the horizon, headed for Wake anchorage. Triton closed to 1,000 yards and launched 2 torpedoes. One hit under the stack, the other under the foremast. Amokasu Maru No. 1 was obliterated in a cloud of smoke and steam as she went under. The submarine then set a course for Brisbane. On the 28th of December, she sighted an enemy ship, closed to 7,000 yards, and launched 3 torpedoes into the transport Omi Maru. The ship sank almost immediately and, although there was much wreckage, no survivors were seen. Triton was then ordered to patrol the Trukribal, New Guinea shipping lanes, north and northwest of New Ireland, arriving on the 30th of December 1942. On the 10th of January 1943, Triton stalked an unidentified vessel but withheld her attack upon observing it was marked as a hospital ship. 3 days later, she launched 4 torpedoes at a tanker and scored 1 hit. When the enemy began firing at her periscope, she went deep to begin an end around. About 20 minutes later, the submarine returned to periscope depth and launched a spread of 4 torpedoes. 2 gazes of water rose amidships as high as the target's bridge, but no explosions followed. The next day, Triton attempted to attack a freighter, but an escort forced her down where she was subjected to a 2-hour depth charge attack. On the 16th of January, she attacked 2 cargo ships, scoring 2 hits on the first and 1 on the second, but her victims forced her to submerge before she could evaluate the damage. Later that day, Triton fired her last 3 torpedoes at a large freighter but heard no explosions. She then headed for Australia and reached Brisbane on the 26th of January, with a total of 6,500 tons for the trip. Final patrol. Falling under the strict tactical control of Admiral James Fife, Jr., Triton on the 16th of February began her 6th and final war patrol, hoping to destroy enemy shipping between the Shortland Basin and Rabaul. She reported smoke on the 22nd of February and a new Japanese radar at Buka. On the 6th of March, the submarine attacked a convoy of 5 destroyer-escorted ships, sinking the cargo ship Kiri Himaru and damaging another freighter. One of her torpedoes made a circular run, and Triton went deep to evade it. She attacked another convoy on the night of the 8th of March and claimed that 5 of the 8 torpedoes she had fired scored hits. She could not observe the results or make a follow-up attack because gunfire from the escorts forced her down. On the 11th of March, Triton reported she was chased replacing 2 convoys, each made up of 5 or more ships. She was informed Trigger was operating in an adjoining area and ordered to stay south of the equator. On the 13th of March, Triton was warned that 3 enemy destroyers, including the Akakazi, were in her area either looking for a convoy or hunting American submarines. On the 15th of March, Trigger reported she had attacked a convoy and had been depth-charged. Even though attacks on her ceased, she could still hear distant depth charging for about an hour. No further messages from Triton were ever received. Post-war examination of Japanese records revealed on the 15th of March 1943, 3 Japanese destroyers attacked a submarine a little northwest of Triton's assigned area and subsequently observed an oil slick, debris, and items with American markings. On the 10th of April 1943, Triton was reported overdue from patrol and presumed lost, one of 3 lost in a month. This gave her 6,500 tons for the trip to Brisbane. There are persistent rumors Triton was actually lost off Moreton Island near Brisbane, sunk either to friendly fire from an Australian pilot or Japanese mines or torpedoes. Her loss was allegedly covered up by the Australian military. It is undisputed 2 weeks after Triton was supposed to have been sunk, a welcoming committee, complete with band mail delivery, fresh fruit and ice cream, was waiting for her on the dock at New Farm on the Brisbane River, since she could simply have suffered a radio casualty. This is unsurprising. The Australian Defence Department refers inquiries to the Australian War Memorial in Canberra. The memorial's position is, it was highly unlikely Australian fire had sunk the submarine, and if there had been a cover-up during the war, the truth would have come out in the intervening years. Triton received 5 battle stars for World War II service. The Triton is the subject of an episode of the syndicated television anthology series, The Silent Service, which aired during the 1957-1958 season. The bell for the US Triton, which has been missing since around 1967, has been located and steps are being taken for it to be returned to Master Chief Harold Weston of the US Triton SSRN 586. It will then be available for reunions, ceremonies and display.